Mr. Investor, let's talk about Nano Dimensions. This is going to be a really important and enlightening video. We are going to talk about the stocks movement, which industries are using 3D printing and their practical uses, and what are they actually printing. There are some big companies in these industries, top companies, and if they're serious about staying on top, they better invest in 3D printing. So today we're going to be talking about Tesla, we're going to be talking about SpaceX and the Department of Defense. We're going to be talking about how 3D printing is useful for these companies and how exactly they're using 3D printing as of this moment. We're going to be talking about that moolah and how much Nano Dimensions can actually make. So guys, I've done so much research for this video, so please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, join the family. We're at 750 subscribers, we're so close to 1k, we were at 500 the other day, so it's just insane growth. Alright guys, so first things first, let's take a look at this stock. As you can see, the market's already open, but I still have this window open from yesterday. Yesterday we had some insane movement. We literally blew all the way up to, I think it was 1049 at the height, something crazy like that. We got some serious numbers yesterday, serious gains. And then towards the end of the day, we slowly fizzled out before this humongous drop at the end. So a lot of people were worried about this and they were asking me, what do you think could have happened? Considering how high the stock was and we got absolutely destroyed towards the end of the day, some people were screaming market manipulation. Others were saying that there may be some share dilution on its way. Some people were saying as soon as January, it could be, diluting more shares, up to 30 million of it. Up to 30 million new shares are going to be, released. But I just think it's people taking profits, to save up for that juicy Christmas turkey. Because how the hell else are we going to be 15% up and all of a sudden we're 3.6% down? So I was really intrigued as well by the products and how much they actually cost. So we done a little deep dive and we're taking a look at the dragonfly products. I was wondering, how much does this digital factory in a box cost? So we're talking about the dragonfly, baby. And how many sales can we predict them to do? And to what industries? So here you can see we have the Dragonfly 2020 Nano Dimension. It's just literally the 3D printer itself, a tiny box, and it's between 50k to 100k. That's the basic specs of the model. So here they explain what it's used for. They're basically saying that they can produce printed circuit boards from scratch. So they explain PCBs, printed circuit boards, as the nervous system of basic robotic and electronic devices. They also speak about their patented Agsites product, which is a silver nanoparticle ink, which is designed specifically for the Dragonfly 2020 3D printer. We then see the Pro box down here, which we're all too familiar with. That goes for between 100k all the way up to 250k as a model. So I was speaking to some of you the other day and you were telling me that if we are serious about space exploration, some of these companies and industries, if they're very serious about space exploration, they're going to need one of these on every single spaceship that they send out. Every single space venture and space exploration that they launch, they're going to need to have one of these on board, just in case some parts for the spacecraft break and they need to replace it. Imagine you're on a spaceship going to Mars and all of a sudden, chicka chicka boom, a part breaks. And this piece of ship is a vital component to you guys having a safe landing or thrusting towards the next planet. If I was a company, I'd go in, my friend. I would make sure that we have one of these on board so we can at least print the part that is broken and replace it with a juicy little part. So to those that were worried the other day about the pullback, they were seeing like, oh my gosh, is it crashing now? I've just bought into this. Is it now going to go down? Is it not going up anymore? Take a look at this. These are the indicators right here from Wall Street analysts and they've pulled it together. Everybody is rating this as a strong buy. Lots of people are saying buy. There are no sells and there's some people saying hold. But a lot of people are still saying strong buy and buy even at these prices. And ARK Invest, as soon as it crashed yesterday, they were buying up more stock. They bought $1.6 million worth of shares. As you can see here, it says that's around 192,708 shares. So moving on, let's take a look at Tesla and let's see how they use 3D printing in their manufacturing of their EV cars. So what's interesting to see here, Tesla always wants to make, the best car possible at the cheapest price. Here, Tesla is aiming to change their Model Y. They want to replace the underbody of this Model Y and the parts will go from 70 components to just one single component. So Tesla has utilized additive manufacturing to actually build out some of the parts of this vehicle, aiming to build out and use 3D printing to actually change the way factories work. Tesla's always talking about autonomy and autonomous driving, autonomous vehicles, and they're also looking at autonomous factories. So here we can see that Tesla wants to remake the factory floor and replace manual operated machines and old technologies. And the global market for 3D printing is projected to rise more than 300%. They're stating that it's going to be $44.4 billion by 2025. This is going to ensure that Tesla as a company can keep its costs low and also create quality vehicles whilst aiming towards a fully autonomous vehicle, a fully autonomous factory. So I want to show you this guy called Sandy Monroe, and he's a very well respected automotive engineer. So if you can see over to the right of your screen here, you can see Sandy Monroe. He's an automotive engineer who specializes in machine tools and manufacturing. And this guy has caught my eye. The reason why is because he's pulled apart a Tesla Model Y and he's found out how they're using 3D printing in the factory by investigating the inside of the Tesla. So this is what he loves to do. He rips things apart and he loves to get inside these cars. So he found something very, very interesting inside a Tesla. He seemed to see that they made a mistake in their Model Y.
So let's look at something else that we found really interesting. Right here you can see there's a connector, and you can see what it looks like when the product's been molded properly. And then we look over here, and this looks very different. And the reason for that is because the designer or somebody has found that there was a mistake, and what they've done is they've gone and these little ridges are telltale. Those little ridges mean that this has been using 3D manufacturing or additive manufacturing. This has been built up over the top because there was a slight flaw. And while you're waiting for the tool to be modified, you can still build cars. So this is kind of a cool feature we've never seen before. Most of the time, that would be a showstopper, a no build, and you'd have to stop production. But this, it's interesting. I mean, if you have a problem and you want to keep going into production, that's a good way to get around the problem until the molds can be fixed up.
So as you can see here, he states that 3D printing actually saved the day. He also explains how 3D printing can be used to save time and to correct errors in production. So instead of just halting production, you can actually design and 3D print out the part that you need and just attach it to the vehicles you've already created. I also found an interview where he said that Tesla is the champion of vertical integration. So vertical integration is a strategy whereby a company owns or controls its suppliers, distributors, or retail locations to control its value or supply chain. Vertical integration benefits companies by allowing them to control process, reduce costs, and improve efficiencies.
One thing that Tesla's got going for them is vertical integration. And if you ask anybody from Harvard, they'll tell you, oh, that can't possibly be a good idea. But it is a good idea. If you're into an emerging market and you want to dominate that market, building as much as you can inside is a real good idea. So Tesla is going to have definitely the leg up on everybody else when it comes to supply chain, because it's their own. Who's got the most vertical integration? Tesla is number 1, Volkswagen's number 2, Toyota's number 3, and the rest don't count. Simple.
So what can the Dragonfly Pro actually do for Tesla? So for companies that are like Tesla, they probably have their own 3D printing system, but other companies that are trying to innovate and actually catch up with Tesla, they can benefit from having a Dragonfly Pro in-house to help them reduce costs, control process, and improve efficiencies, just like he was saying with vertical integration. So keep it all in-house, keep your blueprint in-house, create your products in-house. Next, let's talk about the US Army and Department of Defense. I found this presentation, and it shows how important 3D printing is to the Department of Defense and how they're utilizing it in operations and maintenance. It also states how much their total spend is, and we can spin off that and see how much can we actually make from the Department of Defense itself. This is just one global defense company. Okay, just some recent uses by the US Department of Defense. You can see here they've been using 3D printers to ease the COVID-19 ventilator shortage. So they made a kind of ventilator which was useful to soldiers in battle beyond the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's a handheld gas ventilator, roughly the size of a water bottle. Also, airmen were using a 3D printer to create N95 masks. And the Department of Defense was also using it for a variety of projects such as unmanned aerial and ground vehicles, weapon systems, and components for even a grenade launcher. It looks like 3D printing is useful for so much stuff, they even managed to produce 3D printed swabs. So this presentation states the opportunity for 3D printing for the Department of Defense. And it talks about additive manufacturing. As it shows below, you could have an armored convoy truck, and just imagine those could be 3 Nano Dimensions Dragon Pros in the back. The Dragon Pro fundamentally focuses on electronics, and with the movement into EV vehicles also, we're going to see a lot of research or a lot of manufacturing of army trucks and EV convoys. But also, a lot of the equipment today currently uses high-performance electrical devices that can be printed easily in million hours from the Dragonfly Pro. So the introduction just shows the fiscal year of 2011. So this was back in the day 9 years ago, and it was basically stating that the Department of Defense's total spending was $650 billion. They were saying of that $650 billion, $284.8 billion, 44% of it was used for operations and maintenance. This was to maintain over 300,000 tactical vehicles, over 40,000 combat vehicles, 14,000 aircrafts, 896 strategic missiles, and 275 ships. Not only that, but it was used for communications and electronic equipment, support equipment, and many other systems. The Department of Defense current operations require high levels of customization and production. They need to be able to produce these parts in remote locations, in low volumes and tight timelines. So this is hard for them to produce with traditional manufactured parts, but with 3D printing, the US Navy's Vice Admiral Philip Collum is backing the Print the Fleet Additive Manufacturing Initiative. So he has stressed that the Navy's logistical supply chains are vulnerable and costly, and that additive manufacturing can offset some of that costs. So in this presentation, they were stating that imagine a scenario in combat zone where you're without the existing parts, and the replacement parts can be manufactured on site in real time. So that means that you can manufacture and deliver weapon systems faster while improving your platform design. Imagine fleets of ships, aircraft and vehicles extending their range and payload capabilities, and additive manufacturing is at the forefront of this, on repairing and maintaining parts. But additive manufacturing can actually help them achieve new levels of performance and innovation. So Biden is coming into office and they're stating that, there might be some Department of Defense budget shrinkage, but still the Trump administration requested $586 billion of funds for the Department of Defense and Department of Energy for the fiscal year of 2020, and the White House requested $164 billion for overseas contingency operations. So I don't know what the exact figure is going to be for the Department of Defense's budget, but I do know they're going to get some of the cake and they're going to be able to use it for 3D printing, because 3D printing is going to help them manufacture, it's going to help them to innovate, and also help them to defend themselves globally. As you can see, they can 3D print for Black Hawk helicopters. They want to 3D print whole titanium armored vehicles, and all of these vehicles are going to have electronics inside as well. So all of the high performance parts within the vehicle can also be printed by the Dragonfly Pro. So if we are looking at the numbers in terms of military bases, there are more than 800 military bases globally. So say on the high end of the Dragonfly 2020 Pro is $250,000 per machine. If we are to calculate this up, if every single base was to have one machine, it will be around $200 million. If we times this by 3, say they need 3 on site, it will be $600 million. And that's just from one client. What more if they need operations in the field, in the back of their cars? As we can see up here, this guy is 3D printing parts on the battlefield. In terms of Elon Musk's space ventures, so we're talking about, SpaceX, we're also looking at maybe Virgin Galactic, that he's been using 3D printing since 2014. And they actually flew the Falcon 9 rocket, which was the first time SpaceX had ever flown a 3D printed part. All of these guys would need to print out materials and parts whilst on their space voyage. So here you can see a time lapse of them printing a fuel tank, and they're saying how they can print this whole fuel tank in space if they needed to. So the US Army is actually developing its process for using 3D printing at their depots and in the field. And right now the Army has invested roughly $25 million in equipment at that one hub, and this hub is located at Rock Island. Some other uses is you can build your own 3D printed quadcopter drone. 3D printing is being used by farmers even in Myanmar to actually manufacture tools and equipment. So even will.i.am has partnered with Coca-Cola and he's been using a 3D printer which uses recycled plastic bottles as filament. Even Apple was having a little dabble in the 3D printing world as well. So Nano Dimensions is dropped a little bit more, just below $9, and if it keeps dropping I'm just going to buy more, I think, because for me this is a really innovative company and I'm so bullish on what they can achieve with their current clients. They could generate upwards of 600 million if they were to put 3 machines in each US military base around the world. Mr. Investor, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. Please hit the like and hit the subscribe button. If there's anything else you'd like to cover in this video or anything you'd like to add, please drop me a comment below. Tell me how you feel about Nano Dimensions and the pullbacks, what you think's going on, and where you think we're headed next. Mr. Investor, over and out, baby.